Tyler Scott comments that DJ Moore is everything that he was advertised to be, plus more. And we're also going to look at the most interesting camp battles and how they're going to shake out heading into training camp. We're getting into all that and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host here, Haize. You guys can follow the channel right off the top at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. But let's go ahead and get into the content for today. So Tyler Scott had some interesting comments on DJ Moore that I want to bring here and just kind of have a discussion on just how DJ Moore is going to up the level of not only the talent of the Chicago Bears, which was obvious when he came there, but I also think he sets the expectation and that bar higher of how you need to perform, practice, and prepare. DJ Moore could be a culture setter here for the Chicago Bears offense. And when you look at Tyler Scott, the rookie who says this, DJ Moore obviously being a teammate, he's everything advertised to be and more. Like, he plays with such a calmness to him, just the control to him, and football players, kind of what that looks like. And he's just he just kind of plays just under control. But it's not necessarily like he's playing slow or behind. He just kind of plays like he knows what he's doing. You can tell he's experienced with what he does. DJ Moore was a bright spot of a Carolina Panthers offense that was nothing really to sing home about, right? But he brings a work ethic that I absolutely should reverberate through the whole entire offense. When you bring in a player like DJ Moore, who's done the things at the level that he's done, who's performed the way that he's performed, and who instantly comes in and improves the stock of your offense, it really does set the tone. It sets the tone with how you need to perform, and it really sets the tone on the expectations that are around you. Because when you have a player that goes out there and puts in the work that DJ Moore and Justin Fields does for that matter, and even Darnell Mooney, the work that this team puts in, it ups that expectation. We've talked so much here, either when I'm solo or on Sunday episodes when it's me and both the guys, on how building a culture here in Chicago is so important, especially for a team you're trying to take from being a 3-14 team to a team that actually is going to win, perform, do better in some of those close games that they did last season. All those things are highly important for the Chicago Bears if they want to make that step up, like many of us hope and think that they can do with this roster. And so ultimately it's this. DJ Moore helped set that culture. DJ Moore helps change the expectations around here. And when you see that work ethic, when you have somebody who comes in into Tyler Scott's a comment that just plays with a level of calmness and poise, it helps settle everybody else because you know you're going to have a dog out there with you that's going to do his job. So it makes you a little bit more confident in just executing your part of the offense. And for the young players like a Velus Jones, like a Tyler Scott, right, to have a player like DJ Moore there with you who's still young themselves and can relate to you as well, it hopefully is going to help progress them along, especially Tyler Scott. Bears fans have seen, written about, and hoped for Tyler Scott really being, a ploy, not a ploy, I think that has a negative connotation, but a tool that Ryan Poles expects to be able to contribute. Maybe not as much in year one, we'll see, but going forth. And now as we continue to try to build out this wide receiver core, which has its own questions around them overall, I do think that having somebody like DJ Moore there is going to be huge for him. Tyler Scott also went on to say this: I can watch one play and think, oh, he's about to run an in route and it not look like an in route. Or he's about to run a different route, but it looks exactly, how it did before. So he just knows how to mirror things up and how to make everything look the same. He just plays with such a suddenness and just control about him. We haven't had a wide receiver of DJ Moore's stock for a minute. And Justin Fields needs that. We talked about the offensive line. We talked about the need for, a wide receiver and helping him push along his development. All those things can't do anything but help Justin Fields get to where we ultimately want and need him to get to on the Chicago Bears team. And let's hope that it pays off. Let's hope that everything he's building and bringing to this culture ends up paying off in the way that we need it to. I love just everything around DJ Moore. And, shout out to Pat, the designer over on the Windy City Breeze. He did a video on DJ Moore asking if DJ Moore is going to be the best wide receiver in Chicago Bears history. And the highlights and tape that he played there was just like, hey, this guy is good. He's going to be really, really good. Now, that does not take away anything from Luke Getsy and how he needs to play call, the offensive line for guard, and Justin Field now being able to, kind of rely more on his arm as well. All those things are shaping up for a fun Bears season. But another thing that's shaking up to make a fun Bears season is the position battles that are happening coming in to training camp, right? And so while I want to talk about a few of those here, again, I'm not going to go into overall detail with it, but it starts off with the running back room. And I'm not even necessarily talking about who ends up being the running back one or not. We've had that conversation. I think everybody kind of understands what's going on here. We'll see. But it's more so the snaps and how it shakes out. Luke Getsy is going to have such a solid running back room, and he can get different looks out of using different combinations of them in different scenarios. How the snaps work in that running back room is going to be one of the more interesting things for the Chicago Bears team. If Roschon Johnson does get an opportunity right away, right? What does he do with those opportunities? How does Luke Getsy vary up those looks to really kind of get him out there some that he can? Dante Foreman is coming in here, and he ain't coming to play second fiddle to nobody. Dante Foreman is coming in here to show what he can bring. Yes, he's on a one-year prove-it deal, but he's trying to actually prove something, and he may very well show up and give that to the Chicago Bears. Khalil Herbert, the guy who's now been here the longest, right? Who has shown a lot of things as an additional running back, as the secondary running back, but splitting those snaps as well. Well, how is he going to grow his game now that there's more expectations around him with David Montgomery leaving, right? That running back room in training camp is going to be so interesting to just hear night in and night out who shined, who did Luke Getsy go to in these situations, because it's really going to inform what we can expect and how varied that offense we can expect next year, and it could be an exciting one. Usually the depth that we have at the running back position coming into the season, usually like you have some wide receiver cores that have that type of depth, and it really just turned into just such a fun season to watch. That's what we're looking for to see what this running back room brings, and that's not even to mention still Kahari Blasingame, who wasn't really used a lot in the running game last season. You still have Travis Homer there as well, right? We still have Treston Ebner there. Getting into training camp and kind of hearing how these battles go in training camp, it's going to be extremely fun to hear, but I do think the Bears have the cream of the crop, and they're going to, listen, we are shaping up to have a hellified running game, and I can't wait for it, right? Next up, still on the offensive side of the ball as well, the wide receiver room, right? And while these aren't really position battles, I think we understand who and where people are going to line up in that wide receiver room. So maybe, calling them position battles isn't the truest sense of the word, but again, how do those snaps work? Velus Jones still trying to find a position and away from himself. Dante Pettis still being on this roster, right? Terrell Smith, who we just talked about as well. I'm sorry, Tyler Scott, who we just talked about as well, trying to come in and make a name for himself. These players, they have a lot to prove. And so, as that wide receiver room goes, and as we see how Luke Getsy uses them, you have such a combination of speed and size now in our wide receiver room. And Equinemius St. Brown's still there, right? So just seeing how they get utilized on top of, with the tight ends now that we have who are absolutely going to be red zone threats, and Robert Tonyan and Cole Kmet, it's going to be fun to see how that shapes out as well. So, that's what I want to look at there. As far as on the defensive side of the ball, that defensive tackle position between Andrew Billings, Justin Jones, you still have Zach Pickens, still have Javon Dexter there. How that position battle goes in training camp, who shines, what ends up being the best combination, who ends up, coming off the bench but still getting a lot of snaps. There's going to be more than enough snaps to go around for everyone, but to just see how that battle shakes out in training camp and in preseason, I think it's going to be extremely fun to watch. And I think that interior defensive line, the pressure coming up the middle from those interior defensive linemen, hey, it's going to be fun to watch. And I think we may have as well a position battle on that defensive end, one that we've kind of taken for granted. I have, at least. I even think us, when you look at C-Dub, me and Bobby, we haven't really talked about it a lot. Yes, it's de facto and reasonable to think that Trevis Gibson is coming in and he's going to be that starting defensive end on the other side of DeMarcus Walker. It's absolutely a reason to think that. That is probably the most common thing. But let's not overlook the fact that Dominique Robinson, who, didn't play the best, right? And I don't think anybody's saying that he didn't outshine or play hugely or anything like that, but still showed some things, right? And this Bears front office and coaching staff still absolutely believes in Dominique Robinson. And I think that there may be, at a much lesser extent, that Dominique Robinson still has a chance to shine and maybe earn himself a few more snaps, right? A few more possessions, maybe even make them think, considering that the contract situation that's going on, could they eventually look to maybe put him there instead of Trevis Gibson, right? So there's some thought process behind that one as well. Rasheem Green, can't overlook him either. there's so much depth now on that defensive line. We'll have to see if it's quality depth, right? We'll have to see who is just a depth piece and who shows that they deserve to get an opportunity to start. Which, yeah, Dominique Robinson looked like he deserved an opportunity to start last season, but then it kind of went away as the season went along, and once he did get the opportunity, he didn't quite shine. But I still think this Bears team believes in him enough. And then the last position battle that I want to talk about, Jack Sanborn and Noah Sewell. Like, you cannot. I understand what Jack Sanborn did. You guys know we are big Jack Sanborn's fans here at Chicago Bears Central. We were some of the first guys to call and to say, hey, he deserves a little bit more to play in preseason. Shout out to C-Dub, who really noticed him there. But Jack Sanborn, yes, led the league in tackles during his time as a starting linebacker. We'll see how coming back from injury, how he performs. But make no mistake, there's a young, absolute monster and dog behind him in Noah Sewell, who is also trying to come in for that position and earn as many snaps as possible. And I think also when you look at the fact that Sanborn can play probably all three linebacking positions, there could be enough notice there to say, hey, as a depth piece, he can still get quite a bit of snaps because we can plug him in anywhere. That linebacking room overall is one of the most important and fun things I think that we're going to look for and get out of this team once the lights are on. But you cannot overlook the fact that Noah Sewell is there, and he's there to make his name known, and he's trying to come in and earn and show that he can be a player on this league. Jack Sanborn and Noah Sewell, both 22 years old, extremely young players that hopefully show and prove that they can be Chicago Bears for a long time. But listen, I think that position battle may be a bigger one than some of us are getting credit for heading into training camp. Let me know what you guys think. Who are some of the position battles you're looking forward to in training camp? What are some of the players or things you're looking forward to hearing as well once training camp starts? Let me know all that down below. Otherwise, make sure you're following the show at Shy Bear Central on every social media platform. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, chicagobearcentral@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for our mailbag episodes, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related because of you guys. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but Bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.